this is an aspect of religious freedom that most people really don't think about. You know, that people take their religion seriously. It's a part of their persona, and to the extent of which law can recognize and protect, you know, the religious sensibilities and aspirations of people is one of the great measures of human rights protection for religion in civil law. And so we're privileged today to have Professor Enrico Molinaro, whom we welcome from La Sapienza University in Rome. He's the director of Mediterranean Perspectives and the author of Holy Places of Jerusalem and the Middle East Peace Process, or Peace Agreements, and Negotiating Jerusalem. And I always like to think of, in that regard, Aaron David Miller's book, The Much Too Promised Land. You know, so the negotiating process, anyone who's an expert in it is always welcome here. And responding is my friend and colleague, Professor Marshall Greener of the law faculty. So, Professor Molinaro, we welcome you and look forward to hearing what you have to say. Just two administrative details. Please turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate. And please do not hesitate to just kind of get up and have some refreshment. There will be a little reception right afterwards, and you're all welcome to join us for that. So thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for the invitation, and thank you, Marshall, for the idea you had when we met in Rome several months ago to organize this lecture, because it's a wonderful opportunity for me to meet all of you at this prestigious university, and also to be in Washington. This is the first time, and I used to say that I go beyond the calculus columns. Because since I established 10 years ago the Association of Mediterranean Perspectives, I kept my work confined within the boundaries of the Mediterranean. So now it's the first time I'm here. I came 1 week ago because I met first the Apostolic Nuncio, who wanted to meet me last Saturday, and he apologized that he couldn't attend the lecture, but he was very interested in the topic, of course, that we discussed since he was Nuncio in Jerusalem. I know it's not probably ordinary, but I would be very happy, since we have a small group of people, to learn the names of you, because I would like to know with whom I can talk to. It's okay?
That's perfectly fine.
Please.
Ahmad Iramoni, colleague of Professor Desras, Professor Berger, teaching Islamic law.
Thank you. I'm Robert Destro from the law faculty here.
I'm Kylie Hoover. I'm a law student at New York University.
I'm Sidney Griffith. I belong to the English Languages Department here at Catholic University.
Kia Wunga from the Washington office of the Village Hero Foundation.
Leonard Hammer from Connecticut.
Robbie Sable, I teach international law at the Hebrew University.
Paul Sham, a professor of Israel Studies at the University of Maryland. Enrico and I were colleagues for 6 years at the Truman Institute at Hebrew University.
Warren Madison, Leading Coalition for Israel, local.
I'm Warren Clark. I'm Executive Director of Churches for Middle East Peace.
Knut Pentini, Program Officer in the Washington Office of the Friedrich Ebert Foundation.
Joshua Felice, Office of Public Diplomacy, Embassy of Israel.
Hi, I'm Amanda Bilovich. I'm the Director of Academic Affairs at the Embassy of Israel.
Paris Weinstein, I'm on faculty at the law school here. I'm a retired partner at Washington Law Firm.
Lauren Ashton. I work for Search for Common Ground.
Michael O'Brien, I'm unemployed, not seeking work. That means he just graduated law.
Studying for the bar.
I'm Keith Weissman.
Thank you, everybody. So, as you said, Professor, in your kind introduction, the topic is one of the most sensitive for a number of reasons, also for religious meaning and significance, but also because it's, as you can see from the cover of my book, because it's a symbol of national identity. Actually, this is the key for any reader you would like to see my book, because the real topic, the leitmotif of the whole study I made for 10 years in Jerusalem, meeting leadership of both sides, is the subtitle, which is the conflict between global and state identities. Why I say this? Because if you consider the impact on the media of any event occurring in Jerusalem, and particularly anything related to the holy places, anybody familiar with communication and information would recognize the objective fact that the impact on the media of such events are much, much higher than anything happening in any other place in the world. Now the question is, why? What is the reason for this? One could give several answers, because of the Arab-Israeli conflict, because the Arab-Israeli conflict is important because there is oil in the region, and because of some strategic importance of the Suez Canal since it was open. But basically, I think the main reason is because events there have a symbolic impact on identity, meaning collective identity. Now, the two models that we developed in the West were brought there in the last 2 centuries, firstly by Napoleon, who brought to Egypt the model of national identity, and Muhammad Ali also continued from Egypt to spread this model that was pretty new to the Middle East at the beginning of the 19th century. As you know, whoever is familiar with the anthropology knows that the ancient and traditional identity, collective identity, is based on orthopraxy, which means that what is important to define your group is what you do, your behavior, your pattern of behavior, your concrete behavior, and not so much your faith, your ideology, which we may call orthodoxy in the sense of doxa, the opinion of Greek etymology. So the concept of homogeneous state-national identity from Westphalia Peace of 1648, it was brand new to the Middle East, because whoever is a citizen is part of the group, regardless of any behavior or ethnic characteristics. There is an attempt to make it homogeneous, whatever is within the border of the state. As you remember, the Latin phrase after Westphalia was cuius regio eius et religio. So there must be correspondence between religious identity and national identity. When Great Britain started to understand the strategic importance, geostrategic importance of the region, especially after the opening of the Suez Canal, unlike France, Spain, Russia, and to a certain extent even Germany and Italy, Britain didn't have a foothold in Palestine up until the 19th century. They didn't have strategic economic interests already established. They didn't have cultural religious foothold. Consider, for instance, that the Anglican community didn't have any establishment there, didn't have any church, and if you are familiar with the existence of the so-called arrangement, legal arrangement, in the Christian holy places, so-called status quo, the communities that rule over the Holy Sepulchre and the Bethlehem Basilica exclude the Anglicans. So they came to the region with two main ideas. One was the success in bringing Weizmann to Great Britain instead of to Germany, because if whoever knows the documents and the correspondence, Weizmann to a certain extent was in doubt for some time whether to propose his Zionist idea in Germany or in Great Britain. And then he proposed the Zionist idea, and how it was welcomed in a very interesting way, because whoever remembers the detailed terminology of the Balfour Declaration in November 1917, it speaks of a Jewish homeland. The definition of the Balfour Declaration was very interesting, because the explanation of the national home was given almost in a linguistic and hermeneutic form and fashion by the first High Commissioner of the British Mandate in Palestine in 1925 in his regular report to the League of Nations. He explained that there was a big misunderstanding about the term national home, because in Europe, nation has two different meanings. One is the continental German-French meaning of national state. But the second meaning, Herbert Samuel wrote, was the meaning given to the word in the Russian Empire, where were different nations belonging to one single empire. So he said, listen, people, this is what we meant. We never thought to establish a state for the Jews. Never. There was a big misunderstanding, which shows that the Anglo-Dutch model of identity is the global transnational model. Just the opposite of the German-French model of Westphalia. Then this model was introduced not only through Lawrence of Arabia, but by different means, by the colonial office in different ways. It is not by chance that the Committee for Jerusalem that was established by the British during the Mandate excluded the Zionist Executive Committee and the Arab Executive Committee that were fighting and competing for national control of the area. It included only the religious communities, Christians, the Muslim High Committee with the Mufti, and the two chief rabbinates. They established two rabbinates. At the beginning it was only one, and you know. This is a confirmation for me of their approach, that was to consider particularly the collective identity that goes beyond the national identification, which was Jewish, Muslim, and Christian. Okay? In my opinion, having met the establishment and the leadership and the academic intellectuals in both camps, the Palestinians and the Israelis, this is the main cleavage of the conflict. Not Israeli-Palestinian, not Jewish Muslim or Jewish Christian, but it's a meta-conflict between the Westphalia approach of the two parties, Palestinians and Israelis, who fight with each other but they want to find a territorial compromise, and the global conflict between the global approach of the, which is called after 11 September, the clash of civilizations, the religious cleavage between Islam and the West, whatever doesn't have a physical state national boundary. And this explains for me why every event related to Jerusalem, the holy places, has such a big impact on Western media, because this is a conflict that relates to our area, to Europe and to the United States.